Hi guys, it's Shamsa and welcome back to my little kitchen. Today's recipe is another popular restaurant dish, which is chicken jalfrezi. Now this dish is everything that you could possibly want in a curry. It's vibrant to look at. It's got the crunch of the peppers and the onions. You've got tender chicken in there, and you've got a sauce, a gravy, which is rich and thick, along with the spice. Perfect. Now this can be served up with anything like rice, parathas, roti, naan, whatever you fancy. Before I tuck into this, because I've started to salivate, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn your bell notifications on for all things fantastic like this, because you can make these kind of dishes at home costing you less than what you're paying at restaurants. So please do hit that subscribe button and show your support. And now time to try this. Oh, it's just absolutely fantastic. Nothing gets better than this. You've got tender pieces of chicken, you've got peppers in there, you've got onions in there, and God, that's a big mouthful, but the bigger the better. Bismillah. That is delicious. The fenugreek that we add right at the end, oh, and that spice is coming through now. I can feel it on my tongue. It's beautiful. It's not hot, but you can just feel it there. My tongue and my mouth have started to tingle a little, but nothing too much. Fantastic curry for you there. The spices are spot on. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. Guys, please go off and try this recipe. Share it with your family and friends. Make it and enjoy it. And let me know in the comments below how you find it. I'd love to hear from you guys. Gonna leave you with this one. But before we do that, we're gonna run through the ingredients with you quickly and then we'll start cooking. So the ingredients you're going to need is 700 grams of chicken breast fillet, which I've cubed into medium-sized pieces. Now, if you wanted to use boneless thigh fillets, you can use that as well. It works with this recipe too. I've got here one large onion, which weighs approximately 300 grams in weight, and I've just roughly chopped this up. I've got here two large ripe vine tomatoes. Again, roughly chopped these up. They weigh 300 grams as well. So your onions and your tomatoes weigh the same weight, which is 300 grams. Now we've got some vegetables which go into a jalfrezi, and the vegetables are peppers and onions. Now I've not weighed these because people can add as much or as little as you want, and I like a lot of vegetable in mine. So I've got one large onion which I've just halved once I've peeled it, and then cut it into three wedges, and then sliced it through the middle, and it gives you these nice bite-sized pieces. Again, same with the pepper. I've got a large green pepper here, and I had a small red pepper which I'm using. So again, add the vegetables as to how you like it. I've got here one large tomato which I've just cut into wedges. I've got 8 pieces there, and I've got here half a cup of oil, which is approximately 125 milliliters. I've got a frozen piece each of ginger and garlic cubes that I use. Now if you don't have these cubes, then just substitute each cube by using a tablespoon of the paste or puree. I've got some spices here. I've got 1 tablespoon of the following: cumin powder, homemade garam masala, demerara sugar. You can use caster sugar if you wish as well. I have got under here 1 tablespoon of Kashmiri chili powder, and again, that's going to add a really nice colour and flavour, but not the heat. I did forget the salt, hence why the salt went on top of the Kashmiri chili powder. If you've got any reservations of how much it is 1 tablespoon of Kashmiri chili powder again. I've got here 1 teaspoon of salt. Again, you can adjust the salt right at the end once the curry's finished according to your own liking. And I've got 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder here. I've got 1 tablespoon of kasuri methi, which is dried fenugreek. And here I've got some green chilies. Add however many you want. I've used 5 chilies in total. I've got 2 which are sliced up finely, and I've got 3 which are going in whole. I've kept the stems on, and I've just sliced them all the way through to the top and left the seeds in. And I've got fresh coriander to garnish right at the end, and we also need water to use as and when we need to. So let's start cooking. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is prepare the vegetables and just set them aside. Now for that, you need to get your pan on the hob, and you have to have your heat setting on a 9, which is a high heat setting for my hob. And you want the pan really nice and hot. And I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of smoking, and that's what you want. And then into that, I'm just going to go in with a few squirts of my oil spray, just like that. And I'm going to add my vegetables in, and then I'm just going to leave them and not move them. So here goes. And we're just going to leave them for around a minute before we actually give them a stir, just so that we allow the bottom of the vegetables to have a nice char on them. Right, okay, so it's been around a minute, and I'm just going to add a little bit more squirts of oil spray on there like that. And then just give everything a mix. And you can see that some of the vegetables have a really nice charred colour on them, and that's what we're looking for. So just leave them again for a couple of more minutes and just keep stirring them. We're going to do this for around 3 to 4 minutes on high heat, and I'll show you how they look once they're done. And that is how the vegetables should be looking. They've had around 4 to 5 minutes on a high heat, and you can see they've got a beautiful charred colour, but they're slightly crunchy as well. And I'm just going to turn the hob off, and I'm just going to take them out and set them aside, and we're going to move on to the next step of the recipe. Right, okay, so I've got another pot on the hob, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my oil in, and my heat setting is currently on a 7 at the moment, which is a medium high heat setting for my hob, and just allow the oil to heat up. And now I'm going to add my onions, and we're going to fry them for about 4 to 5 minutes until they're lightly golden brown in colour. And I'll show you how they look once they're done. Right, okay, so the onions have had around 5 minutes of cooking, and you can see that they've started to take on a light golden brown colour. And into this I'm going to add my chopped tomatoes, my ginger and garlic, my chopped green chilies, and the spices. Give that a mix. Heat setting is still on a 7. And I'm just going to fry this now for around a minute, just so we can get rid of the rawness from the ginger and garlic. And I'm just going to add a splash of water into that, around 2 tablespoons worth, and then pop the lid on, and I'm just going to allow this to cook away for about 4 to 5 minutes on heat setting 7, which is still a medium heat setting, medium to high heat setting for my hob. And the next 4 or 5 minutes will allow the tomatoes and the onions to soften up, the tomatoes to release their own natural juices. We've added a little bit of water to help them all break down to cook and make a thick, nice masala. And I'm going to give it the odd occasional stir in between. And I'll see you guys back in around 5 minutes time and show you how it looks. Right, okay, so coming back to this, it's been 5 minutes, it's been cooking away, and I'm just going to remove the lid to show you how it looks. And you can see that the tomatoes have broken down and softened up really nicely. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn my hob off, set this aside, and just let it cool down a little. Once it's cooled down, I'm just going to transfer it into a food processor, and I'm going to blend it to a smooth puree. And once I've done that, I'll show you how it looks. But in the meantime, just remove it from the hob, let it cool down, and blend it, and I'll be back to show you how it looks and what you need to do next. Right, okay, so I've blended my masala up to a puree, as you can see, and I've added it back into the same pot that we were using. And my heat setting is currently on a 6, which is a medium heat setting for my hob. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the chicken in, like that. And we're just going to give it a mix. And we're going to cook the chicken now without the lid on for around 5 to 6 minutes. So the heat setting is on a medium. So all you need to do is just allow this to come up to temperature again and cook it for 5 to 6 minutes, and then I'll show you what you need to do next. Right, okay, so the chicken's been cooking away for 6 minutes now, and all we're going to do now is just to add 200 millilitres of water into this, like that. Just mix that through. And now all we're going to do is we're going to pop the lid on, and we're going to allow this to cook away now for approximately 6 to 8 minutes on heat setting 6, which is a medium heat setting for my hob. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to give it a stir in between that 6 to 8 minute time, and I'll show you what we need to do next after 8 minutes. So I'll see you guys back then. Right, so the chicken's been cooking away for approximately 8 minutes, and all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to remove the lid to show you how it looks. I have reduced the the temperature on the hob, only because it was spluttering everywhere. And I'm going to cook this for a further 5 to 6 minutes now without the lid on, to allow the water that we added to cook down, to thicken up the sauce, the masala. And I'm going to do that for the next 6 minutes. Just keep it moving and just allow it to cook. And my heat setting is currently on a 4 at the moment, which is a low heat setting for my hob. And what the next 5 to 6 minutes will do is it will allow the curry to thicken, and it will also allow the oil to separate and come to the surface and around the edges. And I'll show you how it looks in around 6 minutes time. Right, coming back to the chicken, it's been 6 minutes, it's been cooking away, and you can see that the oil has now started to separate and come around the edges and to the surface. Now into this, I'm going to add my 3 green chilies, my peppers and onions that we cooked at the very beginning. So just pop them in. And also the fresh tomato that we have in wedges. And I'm going to turn my hob setting up to full whack now, which is 9. And we're just going to stir that through and just let the tomatoes and the peppers just heat through on full power. Looks absolutely amazing. Just give it around 3 to 4 minutes, and then we're going to turn the hob off and we're going to finish this off. Right, okay, so it's been around 3 to 4 minutes. I'm just going to turn my hob off. And to finish this off, I'm going to take my dry fenugreek, which is the kasuri methi, and I'm just going to crush it between the palms of my hands, and I'm going to add that in. And just stir that through. Absolutely wonderful. And there you have it, guys, my take on another restaurant classic chicken jalfrezi made at home. Now let me plate this up and give you guys a closer look.